Chapter 1969. Lu Ming, now that Hung She has escaped, the fact that you killed our Hung clan's quasi-emperor will definitely be exposed. The Hung clan will not let you off. If you let us go now, your sins will be reduced. A quasi-emperor from the Hung clan spoke, his voice filled with faint arrogance. Reduce my sins? Why are you so ridiculous? Lu Ming was speechless. Isn't this Hung clan's member too self-righteous? Moreover, the Hung clan has never considered letting me off. It would be a waste not to kill your Hung clan's member, Lu Ming said indifferently. Then, a battle sword appeared in his hand. With a slash, he killed a quasi-emperor. The remaining quasi-emperor's face changed drastically, and there was no trace of blood. Their Hung clan was a great emperor faction with a great emperor overseeing it. In the entire Yuan Mountain, they were one of the top factions. Usually, there were almost no factions that dared to go against the Hung clan. There were also not many factions that did not fear the Hung clan. He thought that since Hung She had escaped, Lu Ming would most likely have some scruples. However, he did not expect Lu Ming to be so decisive. No, please spare me. The Hung clan's quasi-emperor was afraid and started to beg for mercy. Haha, is this the pride of the Hung clan? Is this the pride of a great emperor faction? When your threat failed, you immediately beg for mercy. How ridiculous. Lu Ming laughed mockingly. The Hung clan's quasi-emperor's face was extremely ugly. However, in the face of life and death, everything was meaningless. He continued, Lu Ming, as long as you let me off, I will do anything you want. No need. I don't feel at ease leaving someone like you alive. Kill. Lu Ming was very decisive. With a slash of his sword, he killed the quasi-emperor. Since one quasi-emperor had escaped, so be it. He and the Hung clan could not be reconciled in the first place. What was there to be afraid of? Lu Ming, you have actually refined the light of primal chaos. Huang Ling and Long Chen walked over. Their faces were filled with surprise and joy. The stronger Lu Ming was, the happier they were. Millimeter. Lu Ming nodded and looked around. They weren't the only ones nearby. There were others who were looking at Lu Ming with serious expressions. The battle prowess that Lu Ming had just displayed had left them aghast. Lu Ming looked around and realized that they were currently on a platform. In the middle of the platform, there was a palace. There were stairs on all sides that led to the palace. At that moment, many people were climbing the flight of stairs toward the palace. However, as long as someone stepped onto the stairs, there would be raging flames on the stairs, blocking their path. Even a quasi-emperor would find it hard to climb the steps. Lu Ming, this is the core of the ruins. I don't know if there are any treasures in the palace. We can't fly up, so we can only go up the stairs. However, there are terrifying formations on the stairs that block the way. Huang Ling explained. The core of the ruins. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. In the core of the time-sacred island, the Divine Light Sacred Mountain, they had obtained many plants that could increase one's lifespan. They had also obtained the Divine Tree of Time. It was because of the Divine Tree of Time that Bubble could break through and cultivate the light of space-time. Autumn Moon's injuries were also temporarily stabilized because of the Divine Tree of Time. It was clear how precious the Divine Tree of Time was. Then, what was in the core of this place? Let's go up, Lu Ming said. He took the lead and walked up a flight of stairs. Bubble followed closely behind Lu Ming, Huang Ling, and Long Chen. The two quasi-emperors of the Phoenix Palace also walked up the stairs. The moment they stepped onto the stairs, a terrifying flame energy rushed toward them. However, the flames at the beginning did not pose a problem for them. They easily walked up the stairs. Halfway up, the flames became stronger. Furthermore, Lu Ming discovered a problem. The flames on the stairs seemed to have different might depending on one's cultivation. The higher one's cultivation, the greater the might of the flames. Just like the quasi-emperors, the flames that they faced were much stronger than the quasi-emperors. Therefore, when they were halfway up, the quasi-emperors found it difficult to move forward. If they continued, they felt that they would be burned to ashes by the flames. However, Lu Ming, Bubble, Huang Ling, and Long Chen were still able to move forward easily. They did not stop and continued to walk up. A moment later, They stepped onto the stairs. There are so many doors. Huang Ling muttered. The reason for that was because there were a total of 9 doors scattered around the palace. Of the 9 doors, 3 of them were closed, and 6 of them were open. At this moment, their eyes moved. They saw a young man rushing into one of the doors. As soon as he entered, the door closed. It's Wei Tiandao. The quasi-emperor's hearts skipped a beat. They all knew that young man. He was Wei Tiandao, who was ranked 4th on the King Sage board. However, when the King Sage board was rearranged, Wei Tiandao was pushed to the 8th place. It seems that someone has also entered the 3 closed doors, Long Chen said. There might be opportunities in these doors. Let's each choose one, Lu Ming said. Okay, then we'll choose according to our feelings. Huang Ling nodded. The 4 of them flew forward and each chose a door. Lu Ming walked to the door on the far right. He realized that this door seemed to have a special attraction to him. It could make his array Dao law restless. After Bubble, Huang Ling, and Long Chen each stepped into a door, Lu Ming also stepped in. After entering this door, the door closed. Lu Ming looked carefully. This was a stone room. The stone room was empty and very spacious. However, as soon as Lu Ming entered, he was attracted by the walls of the stone room. The walls of the stone room were engraved with dense runes. It was extremely mysterious. These are Array Dao runes. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He cultivated the Array Dao law. At a glance, he could tell that these were Array Dao runes. They were extremely mysterious. These runes seemed to form a secret technique. Lu Ming looked for a while and came to a conclusion. Then, Lu Ming sat down cross-legged and carefully comprehended. At this moment, in Lu Ming's eyes, the runes on the walls seemed to come alive. They combined with each other and turned into countless possibilities. It was mysterious and unfathomable. He sat there for 3 days. In 3 days, Lu Ming engraved all the runes on the 4 walls in his heart. The 9 scrolls of Array Dao. These are actually 2 of the 9 scrolls of Array Dao, the Destruction Scroll and the Illusory Spirit Scroll. Lu Ming was surprised. Back then, when he obtained the status of a gold inheritor in the Hunyuan sect's assessment, he shamelessly asked for one of the 9 scrolls of Array Dao, the Sealing Scroll. At that time, the old man in the Hunyuan sect told Lu Ming that the 9 scrolls of Array Dao was a supreme secret technique for cultivating the Array Dao law. However, it had long been lost. He did not expect to encounter the other 2 scrolls of the 9 scrolls of Array Dao here. The power of the Sealing Scroll was very long and mysterious. During a battle, using the Sealing Scroll could greatly affect the opponent's combat strength. As for the Destruction Scroll, it could use runes to form the power of destruction. Its power was astonishing. Chapter 1970. Lu Ming immediately closed his eyes and began to comprehend the scriptures. There was no sense of time in cultivation. A month passed while Lu Ming was in the process of comprehending. Lu Ming already had the foundation of one of the 9 scrolls of the Art of Formations, the Sealing Scroll. He was able to comprehend the other 2 scrolls fairly quickly. Lu Ming realized that the Sealing Scroll, Destruction Scroll, and Illusionary Spirit Scroll of the 9 scrolls of the Art of Formations could be combined with one another, allowing him to comprehend the rules of the Art of Formations rapidly. Initially, his mastery of the rules of formations had already reached 80%. In just a month, he had comprehended the 3 scrolls at the same time, allowing him to improve his mastery of the rules of formations at a terrifying rate. It had increased from 80% to 90% in just a month. The rules of formations were the rules of the Emperor. How magical! If the 9 scrolls of the Art of Formations are cultivated to a higher level, they can be combined to produce even more shocking power. As expected of the supreme secret art of formations, Lu Ming exclaimed, "It's been a month, time to go out. Since I've already memorized them, I can slowly comprehend them in the future." Lu Ming rose to his feet and headed for the door. Strangely, the door opened on its own when Lu Ming arrived at the door. When Lu Ming went out, the door closed again. It closed. Could it be that only one person can enter a door, and the people behind can't enter? Lu Ming was astounded. Lu Ming, brother Lu Ming. At this moment, several voices rang out. Huang Ling, Long Chen, and Bubbles all walked over. "You've already come out?" Lu Ming asked curiously. His eyes glittered as he glanced at Huang Ling and Long Chen. "Your cultivation has improved." He discovered that Huang Ling and Long Chen's cultivation had both improved to the peak utmost sacred realm. However, Bubbles' cultivation was still in the greater success stage of the utmost sacred realm. He wondered what kind of fortunate encounter she had encountered. "We've found a fortunate encounter in the secret chamber, allowing us to improve our cultivation. However, the secret chamber can only be used once. It will close soon," Huang Ling said. Lu Ming's gaze swept over. Sure enough, he discovered that the 9 doors were all shut. It was obvious that someone had already entered. "Lu Ming, what did you get?" Huang Ling asked curiously. "A secret technique," Lu Ming said. He then looked at Bubbles and asked, "Bubbles, what did you get?" "It's a treasure. As for what it is, I won't tell you." "Chirp chirp," Bubbles said mysteriously. "You little brat." Lu Ming smiled. "Let's leave this place," Lu Ming said. Below the cave, roars could be heard from time to time. It was very terrifying. Who knew if that powerful existence would cause any commotion? It was better to leave first. Huang Ling and the others nodded. When the roaring stopped, they soared into the air and stepped onto the stone bridge above. Then, they found the right opportunity and kept going up. Not long after, they rushed out of the cave. In this area, there were other people who saw Lu Ming and the others coming out of the stone room. Their eyes were filled with greed, but no one dared to make a move. Lu Ming and the others were definitely powerful. "By the way, were you in this world when you first came in?" Lu Ming asked after coming out of the cave. "Yes, we have been exploring the 10,000 beast realm. Unfortunately, we didn't gain much." Long Chen nodded. "Do you know where the entrance to the next world is?" Lu Ming asked. "Yes, we have asked around. We originally planned to explore other worlds after we finished exploring," Huang Ling said. "All right, then let's go to the next world," Lu Ming said. Immediately, the group flew in a direction. The 10,000 beast realm was completely different from the 10,000 sea realm. The 10,000 sea realm was a vast ocean, while the 10,000 beast realm was a barren mountain. Lu Ming, Bubbles, Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the 2 quasi-emperors from the Phoenix Palace flew all the way. A few days later, they arrived at the edge of the 10,000 beast realm. There was also a void turbulence here. Huang Ling and Long Chen both took out their emperor weapons to resist the void turbulence. The group stepped into the void turbulence. Along the way, they also met others who were rushing to the 10,000 beast realm. After some time, they passed through the void turbulence and came to another world. There were also human martial artists in this world. They asked around and indeed, there was a huge ruin in this world that had been passed down since ancient times. They headed in the direction of the ruin. However, halfway through, they met a few acquaintances. Ouyang Wushuang, Huang Li, and some quasi-emperors from the Abyss Empire. When they met Lu Ming and the others, Ouyang Wushuang and the others were pleasantly surprised. "Lu Ming, are you going to the ruin?" Ouyang Wushuang asked. "That's right." Lu Ming nodded. "There is no need to go to that ruin. It has been explored. We just came out of that ruin." "Where are you from?" Ouyang Wushuang asked. "We are from the 10,000 beast realm," Lu Ming said. "From the 10,000 beast realm? It seems that all 8 worlds have been explored." Ouyang Wushuang's expression changed. He then told them what they had experienced and heard. It turned out that Ouyang Wushuang and the others had already explored a few worlds. They also heard that the ruins of the other worlds had been explored. "Now, everyone is heading to the 9th world," Ouyang Wushuang said. "The 9th world." Lu Ming's heart stirred. The lotus world had 9 petals, which represented 9 worlds. When they first entered, Lu Ming observed that everyone would be sucked into different petals. However, there was only one petal that no one entered. Lu Ming felt that there must be something unusual. "I heard that someone saw a legend in one of the worlds. The 9th world contains a great secret and there is only one path that leads to the 9th world. That is Tianyuan in the Tianyuan world. I heard that many powerful forces are rushing to the Tianyuan world. Xinghe River, Heng family, He family, Deluo Heaven sect and others. Ouyang Wushuang said. In that case, let's go. Lu Ming said. The ninth world should have an extraordinary secret. They should not miss it. Moreover, there were some debts that needed to be settled. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Ouyang Wushuang nodded. Immediately, the group turned around and headed for the Tianyuan world. They could not reach the Tianyuan world directly from this world. They had to pass through 2 other worlds. They crossed several worlds in a row and flew for an unknown distance. After more than 10 days, they finally arrived at the Tianyuan world. Tianyuan world was the most famous miracle in the Tianyuan world. Anyone would know about it by asking around. Tianyuan world was in the north of the Tianyuan world. The group headed for Tianyuan world. Tianyuan world was an abyss that stretched across the border of the Tianyuan world. No one knew how long, deep, or wide it was. Chapter 1971. Legend had it that on the other side of Heavenly Abyss was another world, the legendary Ninth World, the world where immortals resided. At this moment, many figures had gathered at the edge of Heavenly Abyss. These people were all experts from various forces in the outside world. Most of them were boundary emperors. Some of them were prodigies who possessed emperor weapons and could pass through the void turbulence. On the edge of Heavenly Abyss, there was a huge platform that seemed to be made of some kind of huge stone. In the middle of the platform, there was a huge altar that was surrounded by dense inscriptions. In front of the altar, there was a young figure sitting cross-legged with his eyes closed. However, everyone seemed to be very afraid of this figure and no one dared to approach the platform. This was because this person was Heng Xinghe, the eternal sun. Heng Xinghe was too terrifying. Previously, there was a boundary emperor who took advantage of his seniority and was disrespectful to Heng Xinghe and was instantly killed by him. Even if many boundary emperors joined forces, they were far from being Heng Xinghe's match. If a boundary emperor were to face Heng Xinghe, they would only be killed in an instant. They would not even be able to withstand one move. What was shocking was that Heng Xinghe's cultivation had yet to step into the boundary emperor realm. Moreover, there were boundary emperors from the Heng family here. Therefore, Heng Xinghe directly occupied the ancient platform that seemed to be very important, and the others could only watch from the periphery. Of course, there were also people who revealed murderous intent in their eyes, and that was the He family. They wished they could kill Heng Xinghe, but here, they were no match for Heng Xinghe and could only hide far away, not daring to approach. Young Master Heng Xinghe, you have been studying for many days. Do you know how to cross this abyss and go to the ninth world? Finally, someone asked. Heng Xinghe did not say anything, as if ignoring that person. After a long while, Heng Xinghe said, I already know the method. His words made many people's eyes light up. What method is it? Someone asked. It's not time to tell yet. Heng Xinghe. If it's not time to tell yet, when will it be time to tell? That person asked. Are you questioning me? Heng Xinghe suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were like 2 divine swords that pierced that person. That person was shocked and could feel a cold murderous intent shrouding him. He could not help but retreat with a pale face. He quickly said, I don't dare. When it's time to tell, I will tell you. After saying that, Xinghe closed his eyes again. The man from before heaved a long sigh of relief, feeling his back drenched in cold sweat. The eternal sun is really terrifying. He is already so terrifying even though he has not become an emperor-to-be. If he becomes an emperor-to-be, wouldn't he be able to compete with a martial emperor? This thought flashed through many people's minds, and they were shocked. As for the He clan, their faces were gloomy. A genius like the eternal sun was a disaster for the He clan. In the future, if Heng Xinghe broke through to the great emperor realm, the 2 great emperors of the Heng clan would join hands and annihilate the He clan. Therefore, the He clan was thinking about how to get rid of Xinghe. Time flew by just like that. In the blink of an eye, another few days passed. On this day, Xinghe, who had been sitting there, suddenly opened his eyes and looked into the distance. His eyes were sharp as he muttered, "They are finally here." Everyone was shocked. Finally, who is it? Everyone's gazes followed Xinghe's gaze and saw a group of people flying over. They were led by a few young men. "It's Lu Ming, the son of chaos." "Lu Ming," someone exclaimed, recognizing Lu Ming. This shocked even more people. Could it be that Heng Xinghe had been waiting here all this time for Lu Ming? Whoosh! Xinghe got up and took a step forward, heading toward Lu Ming. At the same time, the experts of the Heng clan also followed beside Xinghe. Not far away, Lu Ming, Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others stopped. "Lu Ming, you are finally here. I have been waiting for you for a long time," Xinghe said indifferently. "Is that so?" Lu Ming's face was calm. He knew that he would face Xinghe when he came here. "Lu Ming, you killed the emperor-to-be of my Heng clan. Today, I will use your blood to pay tribute to them." Behind Xinghe, a figure shouted. It was Heng She. "They wanted to kill me. Can't I fight back?" Lu Ming asked. "Of course you can fight back. In the world of martial arts, everything is based on strength. The strong will live and the weak will die. They are not as strong as you, so they deserve to die," Xinghe said indifferently, as if the death of a few emperor-to-be of the Heng clan did not bother him at all. "However, they are after all from the Heng clan, and I am also from the Heng clan. Since you killed them, I will kill you. Lu Ming, hand over the Heavenly Emperor's sword and I will give you a quick death." Xinghe continued. "Heng Xinghe, I know you are here for the Heavenly Emperor's sword. Back in the Origin Mountain Sacred Court, you couldn't do anything to me. Today, you can't do anything to me," Lu Ming said, his eyes slowly filled with fighting spirit. "This is not the Origin Mountain Sacred Court," Heng Shan said coldly. His meaning was obvious. Back in the Origin Mountain Sacred Court, Lu Ming and many other experts fought against Heng Xinghe. But today, the experts of the Heng clan were here, and they would not let Lu Ming and the others have the chance. Boom! Boom! The Heng clan had a long history and was a great emperor-level force with too many experts. Today, there were more than 100 emperor-to-be here. At this time, when they gathered together, their aura was really terrifying. The terrifying aura pressed down on Lu Ming and the others, causing their expressions to change. "We are here to help you." Not far away, a voice came, and figures came behind Lu Ming and the others. They were the emperor-to-be of the Phoenix Palace, Divine Elephant Sect, Thunder God Sect, and other forces. "Your opponents are us." A cold voice sounded, giant wolves stepped on the air, golden crows roared, and the aura of battle weapons soared into the sky. The emperor-to-be of the Golden Crow Clan, Sky Wolf Pagoda, WN Clan, Purple Pole Sect, and other forces stepped on the air, and their aura pressed down on Lu Ming and the others. "Lu Ming, I am here to help you." A beautiful woman came to Lu Ming's side with a group of experts. It was Luo Tianyi and the emperor-to-be of the Jade Lake Immortal Palace. Afterward, more and more powerful cultivators joined Lu Ming and the rest. For example, the emperor-to-be of the Xinyuan Empire and other sects who were alone. But even so, Lu Ming and the others' strength was far from enough. Most of the forces on Lu Ming's side were from the ancient Moon Sacred Ground. At most, they could compete with the Golden Crow Clan, Sky Wolf Pagoda, and other forces that were also from the ancient Moon Sacred Ground. Even with the help of the Xinyuan Empire, it was useless. "Haha, it is really lively. Lu Ming, I have to say, you are really lucky." A sneer came, and Luo Tsangqiong came to the side of the Heng clan with the experts of the Deluo Heaven sect. Then, the experts of the Feng clan came to the side of the Deluo Heaven sect. Chapter 1972. Heng family and Deluo Heaven sect were both great emperor-level forces. They had too many experts, far more than Lu Ming and the rest. Moreover, there were Feng clan, Golden Crow clan, WN family and other forces gathered together. Many emperor-to-be, surrounded by the river of law, looked like gods in the sky. Their terrifying aura was overwhelming towards Lu Ming and the rest. Behind Lu Ming, everyone stood in a defensive circle, looking dignified. Around them, many people were watching with different expressions. Some people sneered, such as He family. Whether it was Lu Ming or Heng family, They did not have a good impression of them. It was best for them to kill each other. People from Soul Sanctum stood in the distance and did not intervene. Although Autumn Moon and Lu Ming were close, Autumn Moon only represented her lineage in Soul Sanctum. Moreover, they had not seen Autumn Moon yet. Lu Ming is a dead man today. I have long expected that he would end up like this. How dare he go against the Hung family and the Deluo Heaven sect? Haha. Yuji sneered in the crowd, gloating. A few young talents from Purple Flame Villa had complicated expressions. This was because a few young men from the Purple Flame Villa had lost a bet to Lu Ming and had to obey his orders. However, in the face of so many experts from the Hung family and the Deluo Heaven sect, they could only choose to ignore them and pretended not to see them. Because they would die if they went. Moreover, those Emperor-to-be from Purple Flame Villa did not listen to their orders. Damn it, they think they have more people. It's a pity that our desolate tribe did not come out. Otherwise, we would bring a bunch of Emperor-to-be here to beat them to death. Huang Li growled and was quite unhappy. It's just a fight, Long Chen said. He looked ordinary, but he was full of fighting spirit. A real man would not be afraid of a fight. Don't you want to know how to cross this abyss to the ninth world? At this moment, Xing Xing his indifferent voice sounded. Many people were shocked. Was Xing He finally going to say it? If you want to cross the other side of the abyss, you have to open the abyss bridge. The way to open the abyss bridge is simple. You have to sacrifice blood to open the abyss bridge with the blood of many experts to open the abyss bridge to the ninth world. Hung Xingha's voice spread far and wide. Many people's hearts trembled again. They actually had to sacrifice the blood of powerful cultivators to reach the ninth world. How much blood do you need? Someone asked. I don't know. Naturally, the more the better. Then, he looked at Lu Ming and the others, and a cold murderous intent erupted from him. Today, I shall use your blood as a sacrifice to the bridge. Boom. 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 Hearing Xing his words, the experts of the Hung family, the Deluo Heaven sect, and other forces stepped out one after another. Surrounded by the river of law, the saint power burst out like a tide. Today, they wanted Lu Ming and the others to die here. You guys focus on defense. Leave the eternal star river to me. Lu Ming's voice rang in the ears of Huang Ling and the others. Then, Lu Ming's glabella lit up and the great pill derivation furnace flew out and became as big as a mountain. However, the great pill derivation furnace did not hover above Lu Ming's head. Instead, it flew toward Huang Ling and the others, and then landed on the ground with a loud boom. The great pill derivation furnace had 4 legs and it was propped up high. Huang Ling and the others were all under the great pill derivation furnace. The great pill derivation furnace was the treasure of the great pill derivation hall. Its grade was far above ordinary imperial weapons. In this way, Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others only had to defend the sides and did not have to worry about the top. In this way, their defensive strength would be greatly increased. Bubbles, go and help Huang Ling and the others. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Bubbles. Brother Lu Ming, you have to be careful. Chirp chirp. Bubbles chirped and moved toward Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others. You guys go and deal with the others. Leave Lu Ming to me, Hung Xinghe said coldly. The powerful steam engine locked on to Lu Ming. Kill. Those who hide under the elixir furnace will also die. The Emperor-to-be experts from the Hung family, Deluo Heaven sect, Golden Crow tribe, and other forces stepped into the air and attacked Huang Ling, Long Chen, and Bubbles from all directions. There were only a few dozen Emperor-to-be experts on Huang Ling's side. They were outnumbered by their opponents and could only gather together to defend. All kinds of defensive sacred weapons and imperial weapons covered the surroundings. At the same time, Bubbles attacked. The surrounding space distorted and formed a mirror-like space shield that blocked the attacks. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Hundreds of attacks fell toward Huang Ling and the others. Some of them were blocked by the great pill derivation furnace. At this time, Lu Ming had already broken his connection with the great pill derivation furnace. Otherwise, the terrifying power would follow the great pill derivation furnace and injure Lu Ming. At this time, The Great Pill Derivation Furnace was only relying on its indestructible properties to block the attacks. As expected, when the attacks fell on the Great Pill Derivation Furnace, they were all blocked by the Great Pill Derivation Furnace. The remaining attacks were also blocked by Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others. After all, although the opponents outnumbered them, the Great Pill Derivation Furnace covered them and the opponents did not have many angles to attack. Continue. Experts from the Heng family roared and launched various attacks at Huang Ling and the others. Ah! At this moment, a shrill scream erupted from the crowd in the distance. Someone suddenly attacked and killed an expert. What are you doing? You're courting death. Someone shouted. Use your blood as a sacrifice to the bridge. Someone said coldly. Then use your blood as a sacrifice to the bridge. The first person shouted and a huge battle broke out in the area. There were many forces here and many of them had grudges against each other. Once the area was in chaos, it was as if the whole situation was affected. Those forces who had grudges against each other also started to fight. Since they were going to use the blood of experts as a sacrifice to the bridge, they might as well use the blood of their enemies. Therefore, a huge battle broke out unavoidably. The area was getting bigger and bigger. Soon, the area was in chaos and there were battles everywhere. Lu Ming and Heng Xinghe stood in the air and looked at each other from afar. Lu Ming, no one will help you today. You'll die. Hand over the Heavenly Emperor's sword and I'll leave your corpse intact. Heng Xinghe said coldly. It's been a long time since we last met. Your cultivation is still at the peak of the absolute saint realm. Do you think you can kill me? Lu Ming sneered. There are strong and weak absolute saints too. Heng Xinghe said calmly. His cultivation was the same as when he fought with Lu Ming and the others. He was still at the peak of the absolute saint realm. The main reason was that a peak absolute saint needed to cultivate a law to perfection to break through to the boundary emperor realm. However, the higher the level, the harder it was to cultivate. Especially since he cultivated the eternal law. However, even at the peak of the absolute saint realm, there were differences in the comprehension of the law. Heng Xinghe's mastery of the law had reached 99%. He was stronger than when he fought with Lu Ming and the others. Boom! Heng Xinghe released a shocking aura. At the same time, a halo surrounded Heng Xinghe, making him look like a deity. This was the eternal light. Whoosh! Chapter 1973. Heng Xinghe raised his aura to the maximum and unleashed his eternal light. He was about to attack Lu Ming. Suddenly, a ray of sword light shot across the sky and slashed down at Heng Xinghe. The ray of sword light was filled with the aura of death. As the sword light slashed down, everything was destroyed. Heng Xinghe's eyes narrowed. He waved his hand and unleashed a ray of sword light that clashed with the sword light. Clang! There was an ear-piercing sound. Endless sword light and sword chi swept out in all directions. Heng Xinghe's body shook slightly and he took a step back. A figure appeared in the sky. He carried a battle sword on his back and his hair was messy. It was Deathblade. His aura was shocking. He had reached the great circle of the absolute saint realm. Moreover, there was a halo around him. It was the Deathlight. Apparently, Deathblade had made great progress during this period of time. Not only did he have a breakthrough in his cultivation, but he had also cultivated the Deathlight. Heng Xinghe, I am your opponent. Deathblade stepped forward and stood in front of Heng Xinghe. Deathblade, it's you again. Heng Xinghe's eyes were filled with killing intent. He said, Deathblade, although you have reached the great circle of the absolute saint realm and cultivated the Deathlight, you are still no match for me. No match for you? Why don't you try? Heavenly Sword of Death. Deathblade was very direct. He attacked as soon as he finished speaking. He unsheathed his battle sword and slashed at Heng Xinghe. Heng Xinghe's eyes turned solemn as a battle sword appeared in his hand. Although he sounded very confident, he didn't dare to be careless when facing Deathblade. Deathblade was the son of death. Now that he had cultivated the Deathlight and had reached the great circle of the absolute saint realm, he wouldn't be careless. Dazzling sword light burst out as if it was going to pierce through the sky. Boom! The two figures, sword light and sword light, clashed together. Dazzling light exploded in the sky. Hung Xinghe and Death Blade fought fiercely. Their auras were so terrifying that no one dared to stand within a few hundred miles. In the blink of an eye, the two of them had exchanged dozens of blows. They were evenly matched. Lu Ming was speechless. He had wanted to have a big fight with the Eternal Galaxy River, but it was good that the Deathblade was there to stop the Eternal Galaxy River. He still had other things to do. Lu Ming's figure flashed as he dashed off in a certain direction. That direction was the direction of the Deluo Heaven sect. At this time, many Emperor-to-be from the Deluo Heaven sect were attacking Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others. The number of Emperor-to-be from the Deluo Heaven sect was also amazing. Although it was less than that of the Heng family, there were still nearly 100 of them. At this moment, Luo Tsangqiong was standing in the void with a huge seal in his hand. It was the divine seal of deprivation. The deprived divine seal could continuously deprive the space of the energy. The longer it was deprived, the more energy it would accumulate, and the more terrifying its power would be. At this moment, Luo Tsangqiong was constantly stripping away energy until he reached the limit of his control. Die! Luo Tsangqiong roared and pushed out the divine seal of deprivation with his palm. The divine seal of deprivation crashed forward like a mountain. However, Lu Ming's figure suddenly appeared in front of the divine seal of deprivation and pointed at it. The finger of primal chaos calamity burst forth and bombarded the divine seal of deprivation. Boom! With a huge roar, the divine seal of deprivation was defeated. Lu Ming's figure floated back for a distance. The power of the divine seal of deprivation after Luo Tsangqiong had accumulated energy was indeed terrifying. Even with Lu Ming's current battle strength, he was still repelled. Lu Ming, you can actually block my divine seal of deprivation, Luo Tsangqiong cried out in disbelief. He had spent a long time accumulating energy for that move and deprived a lot of energy. Its power had reached an amazing level. An ordinary Emperor-to-be would definitely not be able to block it and would be easily killed. But now, Lu Ming actually blocked it head-on. How could he not be shocked? Luo Tsangqiong, today, I'll take your life, Lu Ming said coldly. Autumn Moon was still seriously injured and unconscious. He would not let Luo Tsangqiong go. It would be the same even if Luo Tsangqiong was the grandson of a great emperor. Lu Ming stepped on the void and attacked Luo Tsangqiong. Luo Tsangqiong was shocked and couldn't help but retreat. Lu Ming, you escaped last time. Then I'll kill you again. A burly figure appeared in front of Lu Ming and attacked Lu Ming with a giant hammer. This person was the expert who had fought with Lu Ming in the void turbulence. He had a superior sky spiritual body and was very powerful. Last time, Lu Ming was completely suppressed by his opponent. But this time, it would not be the same. Kill! Lu Ming shouted and a cold light shot out from his eyes. At the same time, a halo shrouded his body and he pointed his finger. The huge chaotic calamity finger bombarded his opponent's giant hammer, causing it to buzz and be sent flying back. Your battle strength, his opponent was shocked. After exchanging a blow, he felt that Lu Ming's battle strength was much stronger than before. The last time Lu Ming faced him, he was at a complete disadvantage. However, he was the one who was at a disadvantage in the exchange of blows just now. How could Lu Ming's strength have improved so much in such a short time? Chaotic light. You've cultivated the chaotic light. The burly man shouted. Today, I'll kill you. Lu Ming said coldly and continued to use the chaotic calamity finger. The huge chaotic calamity finger was filled with chaotic light. It suddenly appeared like the finger of a god and crushed toward his opponent. The burly man roared and used all his strength to brandish his giant hammer to block Lu Ming's attack. But at this time, endless runes appeared in Lu Ming's left hand and a true dragon pounced toward the burly man. This was one of the 9 scrolls of Array Dao, the illusory spirit scroll. The runes transformed into a true dragon with terrifying power. The burly man's giant hammer collided heavily with the chaotic calamity finger. He was using all his strength to block Lu Ming's chaotic calamity finger. How could he spare any energy to block the attack of the illusory spirit scroll? The true dragon pounced on the burly man and with a long roar, the dragon claw swiped down. Bam! The burly man's body shook violently, and with a muffled groan, he was pushed back and vomited blood. Kill. Lu Ming quickly followed and waved his hand. A huge phantom of the prison-suppressing stele descended from the sky and suppressed the burly man. The burly man let out a blood-curdling scream. His entire body emitted cracking sounds. It was unknown how many of his bones were broken. Then, the runes on Lu Ming's left hand flashed and another true dragon flew out. It grabbed the burly man and tore with all its strength. Rip! Blood splattered and the burly man's body was torn apart. Even someone as strong as the burly man, a quasi-emperor with a superior sky spiritual body, was killed by Lu Ming's series of attacks. The 9 scrolls of Array Dao are indeed mysterious. If I can combine the Destruction Scroll, Illusory Spirit Scroll, and Sealing Scroll, its power will increase exponentially. Chapter 1974. For now, the Array Dao laws could only be used as support for Lu Ming. Compared to the Primal Chaos Tribulation Finger, they were still weaker. However, if he merged the Destruction Scroll, Illusion Spirit Scroll, and Sealing Scroll, its might would definitely soar. It was easy to imagine how powerful the attack would be if a true dragon, which contained both the power of destruction and the sealing power of the Scroll of Annihilation, were to be unleashed in one move. Just thinking about it made Lu Ming look forward to it. At this moment, Luo Tsungqiang's eyes widened in disbelief. To think that Lu Ming could kill the burly man, who was a peak quasi-emperor. Unless one advanced to quasi-emperor with a monarch body, one would be unrivaled among those of the same level. Yet, Lu Ming killed such an existence. This made Luo Tsungqiang's entire body turn cold. Lu Ming looked at Luo Tsungqiang with a cold gaze. His figure did not stop as he charged at Luo Tsungqiang. Men! Kill Lu Ming! Kill him! Luo Tsungqiang roared as he frantically retreated. Luo Tsungqiang also retreated with him. Whoosh! 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 Instantly, at least 10 quasi-emperors charged at Lu Ming. All sorts of horrifying attacks flew at Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming simply ignored these attacks. The primal chaos light circled around his body as he charged forward. When those attacks landed on the primal chaos light, they were all blocked. The primal chaos light could be used for both offense and defense. Boom! 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 After Lu Ming charged through the attacks, he threw a few punches in succession. Fist lights tore through the air and directly exploded 3 quasi-emperors in the air. Whoosh! 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 Following that, Lu Ming continuously sent out the Primal Chaos Tribulation Finger. 6 Primal Chaos Tribulation Fingers flew at the 6 quasi-emperors. Although the power of the 6 fingers scattered, it was enough to deal with ordinary quasi-emperors. The 6 quasi-emperors were sent flying by the 6-finger energies. Their faces paled as they vomited large mouthfuls of blood. At first, Xiao Chen killed 3 quasi-emperors. Then, he injured 6 quasi-emperors with one move. Such combat prowess was shocking. Luo Tsungqiang and Luo Pokong were even more shocked. The two frantically retreated, not having the courage to fight Lu Ming. However, Luo Tsungqiang retreated even faster because his cultivation was stronger. "You won't be able to leave," Lu Ming said indifferently. He rushed out like a flash of lightning, avoiding several experts of the De Luo Heaven sect. The next moment, Lu Ming caught up with Luo Pokong. Luo Pokong was shocked. The long spear in his hand pierced through the void and pierced towards Lu Ming. This was an emperor weapon. Coupled with Luo Pokong's law of penetration, its power was indeed terrifying. However, Luo Po's cultivation was only at the great mastery of the Absolute Saint realm, the same as Lu Ming. In a battle of the same level, no matter how strong he was no match for Lu Ming. Lu Ming punched out, striking the tip of the long spear. Luo Pokong's law of penetration was completely useless against Lu Ming. The long spear buzzed and even bent. Then, it fiercely bounced out. The end of the spear hit Luo Pokong's body. Luo Pokong screamed and retreated. There was a strong feeling of unreality in his heart. He felt that he was dreaming. Back then, when he met Lu Ming for the first time, Lu Ming had to go all out to defeat him. But now, Lu Ming could defeat him and injure him with a casual move. The gap between the two was getting bigger and bigger as time passed. Luo Pokong, who claimed to be a peerless genius, found it hard to accept. Lu Ming's figure did not stop. He charged toward Luo Pokong. The cold murderous intent made Luo Pokong's body shiver. Lu Ming, how dare you touch me? I am the genius of the Deluo Heaven sect. If you touch me, no one in Yuan Mountain can save you. Luo Pokong roared. The Deluo Heaven sect had a great emperor. He did not believe that Lu Ming dared to touch him. Lu Ming would also die if he touched him. In my life, there are many people who have threatened me. But in the end, they are all dead, and I am still alive. Lu Ming said indifferently. The saint power burst out and the law of chaos buzzed. He punched out and a prison-suppressing steely shadow suppressed Luo Pokong. Boom! Luo Pokong was directly blasted to the ground and heavily smashed into the ground, creating a huge crater that was as deep as 10 miles. Luo Pokong lay in the big pit, twitching and spitting blood. That move just now had broken all the bones in his body. Even his saint heart had cracked. At this moment, he was extremely frightened. Endless fear shrouded him. Lu Ming really wanted to kill him. He was not afraid of the Deluo Heaven sect at all. At this moment, he was scared to death. Whoosh! Lu Ming appeared in the big pit, looking down at Luo Pokong indifferently. No! No! Luo Pokong shouted while spitting blood. Stop, Lu Ming. If you dare to kill him, the Deluo Heaven sect will not let you go. An emperor-to-be of the Deluo Heaven sect shouted. Luo Pokong was the king body of the Deluo Heaven sect, so he could not die. Ha ha! Lu Ming sneered. The Deluo Heaven sect would not let him go? Even if the Deluo Heaven sect would let him go, he would not let them go. This was his vow to the autumn moon. In the future, he must destroy the Deluo Heaven sect, no matter what price he had to pay. Lu Ming reached out and grabbed Luo Pokong's emperor weapon long spear in his hand. No, Luo Pokong screamed in horror, trying to struggle to escape. However, the emperor weapon long spear pierced through the space between Luo Pokong's eyebrows and nailed him to the ground. Luo Pokong opened his eyes wide, full of unwillingness. Many people in the surroundings were also shocked. Luo Pokong, the king body of the Deluo Heaven sect, was killed by Lu Ming. If this news spread out, the people of the Deluo Heaven sect would go crazy. However, the killing intent in Lu Ming's eyes was still as cold as a knife. This is just the beginning, Lu Ming whispered. He pulled out the emperor weapon long spear and rushed to the sky, looking far away. At this time, Luo Tsungcheong was running away crazily, not daring to stay there. Bubble, give me a hand. Lu Ming transmitted a message to Bubble. Okay. Under the great defying elixir furnace, Bubble responded. He waved his hands, and a force of the law of time and space followed the void and shrouded Lu Ming. Lu Ming moved his body, as if he was shuttling through the void, and quickly chased after Luo Tsungcheong. With the help of Bubble's law of time and space, Lu Ming's speed was even more amazing, and he quickly approached Luo Tsungcheong. Damn it! The emperor-to-be of the Deluo Heaven sect all stopped attacking Huang Ling and Long Chen, and chased after Lu Ming. Luo Pokong was fine, but if Luo Tsungcheong was killed by Lu Ming, they would all die under the wrath of the great emperor. They chased after Lu Ming crazily, but their speed was too far behind Lu Ming's, and they could not catch up with him at all. Lu Ming's body was like a fleeting shadow, and soon he was close to Luo Tsungcheong. Swoosh! Lu Ming pointed his finger, and a calamity finger force condensed into a line, piercing toward Luo Tsungcheong. Break! A battle axe appeared in Luo Tsungcheong's hand. The battle axe was very powerful, and it was definitely an emperor weapon, and not an ordinary one. The battle axe chopped out and blocked Lu Ming's finger force, but his body was also shaken off, and his face flushed. Chapter 1975. Luo Tsungcheong retreated, and Lu Ming followed. He waved his right fist, and the illusory image of the prison-suppressing Steely appeared, pressing down on Luo Tsungcheong. Deprive! Deprive! Luo Tsungcheong roared, and the deprive law shrouded the battle axe, constantly depriving the external energy to enhance the power of the battle axe. It chopped down on Lu Ming. Clang! The battle axe hit the illusory image of the prison-suppressing stele, causing a violent vibration. Although Luo Tsungcheong blocked the illusory image of the prison-suppressing stele, his body kept retreating, his face flushed, and blood spilled from the corners of his mouth. However, Lu Ming did not stop attacking. There were 9 illusory images of the prison-suppressing stele in the sky, continuously pressing down on Luo Tsungcheong. Luo Tsungcheong could only do his best to resist, and at the same time, he roared, "A bunch of trash, come and save me, do you all want to die?" Of course, he was roaring at the Emperor-to-be of the Deluo Heaven sect. The Emperor-to-be's faces darkened, and they flew over with all their strength. Luo Tsungcheong's status in the Deluo Heaven sect was too special and honorable. As the grandson of a great emperor, he was so talented that even the void emperors and true emperors had to give him face. What was more, the Emperor-to-be could decide his life and death with a word. "No one can save you today," Lu Ming said coldly. Endless runes appeared in his left hand, and turned into a real dragon, pouncing on Luo Tsungcheong. 2 kinds of laws were activated at the same time, and Luo Tsungcheong was even more vulnerable. He was immediately blown away, spitting out blood. Whoosh! Lu Ming moved and appeared above Luo Tsungcheong. He pointed at Luo Tsungcheong with the chaotic tribulation finger. Boom! Luo Tsungcheong's body was blasted down like a cannonball, just like Luo Pokong. Then, Lu Ming swooped down and caught up with Luo Tsungcheong. He took out the long spear that he got from Luo Pokong, and infused it with saint power. The long spear buzzed, and stabbed toward Luo Tsungcheong's glabella. "Oh no! Stop!" The Emperor-to-be of the Deluo Heaven sect shouted in shock. Lu Ming was simply audacious. He did not care about Luo Tsungcheong's identity. First, he killed Luo Pokong. Now, he even wanted to kill Luo Tsungcheong. Luo Tsungcheong was terrified and let out a crazy roar. He was unwilling to accept this. He was mad with hatred. However, he would not beg for mercy. If he did not die, he would definitely kill Lu Ming in the future. Whoosh! The Imperial Armament spear pierced toward Luo Tsungcheong's forehead with terrifying sharpness. However, just as the long spear was about to pierce Luo Tsungcheong, a black iron plate suddenly appeared between his eyebrows. Clang! The long spear pierced the iron plate and sparks flew everywhere. However, this iron plate was incomparably hard, and the spear was unable to pierce through it. The long spear vibrated and a terrifying force pushed Luo Tsungcheong to the ground at an even faster speed. However, in the process of Luo Tsungcheong's descent, the iron plate actually increased rapidly. In the blink of an eye, it covered Luo Tsungcheong's entire body. Like a set of black armor, Luo Tsungcheong was shrouded in it. Boom! Luo Tsungcheong's body smashed into the ground, causing the earth to tremble as a huge crater appeared. But in the next moment, Luo Tsungcheong stood up as if nothing had happened. "Grandpa, ha ha ha." Luo Tsungcheong laughed ecstatically. He knew that this was the protective imperial armament that his grandpa had secretly placed in his body to save his life at the critical moment. However, his grandpa did not tell him in advance, most likely because he wanted to train him. With this imperial armament protecting him, he knew that he would be fine. Lu Ming could not kill him. Great Emperor bless him. The quasi-emperors of the Deluo Heaven sect were also ecstatic. "Do you think you'll be fine hiding in the armor? Kill." Lu Ming's eyes were cold. Holding the long spear, he swooped down like a flowing light and pierced Luo Tsungcheong's head in an instant. However, with a clang, the long spear still did not pierce Luo Tsungcheong's armor. This armor was really sturdy and immortal. "Lu Ming, you can't kill me. If I don't die today, you'll be the one to die in the future." Luo Tsungcheong roared, his killing intent extremely cold. Today, Lu Ming had almost killed him, which made his killing intent towards Lu Ming even stronger. Clang! Lu Ming did not bother to talk nonsense with him. With a sweep of the long spear, Luo Tsungcheong's body directly flew out and hit the wall of the big pit. His body was buried in the ground. However, in the next moment, Luo Tsungcheong rushed up from the ground not far away. Whoosh! Lu Ming moved and rushed towards Luo Tsungcheong. Deprive God Seal. Luo Tsungcheong used the Deprive God Seal to fight back, but it was shattered by Lu Ming's finger. At the same time, Lu Ming used the seal scroll of the 9 scrolls of formation doctrine. The dense runes shrouded Luo Tsungqiang and sealed him. Then, Lu Ming clasped Luo Tsungqiang's neck and pushed him to the ground. Boom! Luo Tsungqiang fell heavily on the ground, and another big pit appeared on the ground. Bang! Then, Lu Ming stepped on Luo Tsungqiang's head. Luo Tsungqiang's head sank into the rock. Ah, Lu Ming, I'll kill you. Luo Tsungqiang roared. It's really a tortoise shell. It's comparable to Dandan's tortoise shell. Lu Ming muttered. At this time, in a distant place, a little tortoise sneezed and cursed, "Which bastard is scolding me? Come on, let's go." Then, the little tortoise rushed towards a big tomb shrouded in clouds and disappeared. Lu Ming continued to torture Luo Tsungqiang. He stepped on Luo Tsungqiang's crotch, causing him to scream and bend his body. Although the armor is hard, it's still painful. Continue. Lu Ming stepped on Luo Tsungqiang's crotch again. Luo Tsungqiang roared like a beast. His face was flushed red in the armor, and tears and snot were flowing down his face. Let go of young Master Luo. You're courting death. At this moment, the quasi-emperors of the De Luo Heaven sect rushed over with all kinds of weapons and attacked Lu Ming. Some of them held imperial weapons and attacked Lu Ming. Lu Ming grabbed one of Luo Tsungqiang's legs and used it as a hammer to swing at those quasi-emperors. One of the quasi-emperors was waving an imperial weapon and attacking Lu Ming. But when he saw Luo Tsungqiang coming at him, he quickly held back some of his strength. Therefore, he faced a miserable outcome. Luo Tsungqiang's body hit him heavily. The quasi-emperor screamed and flew hundreds of miles away, lying on the ground and twitching all over. Bang! Bang! Then, Lu Ming rushed to the sky, grabbed Luo Tsungqiang and kept swinging him like a hammer toward the quasi-emperors of the De Luo Heaven sect. Luo Tsungqiang's armor was really strong and indestructible. It was harder than many imperial weapon giant hammers. Lu Ming smashed it with great force. Several quasi-emperors with weaker cultivation were smashed to death. Their bodies immediately collapsed. Those quasi-emperors of the De Luo Heaven sect had scruples. Even if some of them had imperial weapons, they did not dare to attack with full force for fear of injuring Luo Tsungqiang. Chapter 1976. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming grabbed one of Luo Tsungqiang's legs and used him as a weapon. Several emperor-to-be of the De Luo Heaven sect were smashed away, and one was even smashed to death. The others spat out blood and retreated. Ha ha ha, cool, this weapon is really handy. Lu Ming laughed heartily, feeling extremely carefree. On the contrary, Luo Tsungqiang was furious and constantly roared. He wanted to rush out and fight with Lu Ming, but he finally restrained himself. He was too aggrieved. At first, his face was stepped on by Lu Ming, and then his crotch was stepped on by Lu Ming, which made him miserable. At this moment, Lu Ming used him as a weapon to kill the people of the De Luo Heaven sect. He was so angry that he wanted to go crazy. He kept roaring to vent his anger. He knew that he had been utterly humiliated. Even if he were to achieve great things in the future, or even achieve the martial monarch realm like his grandfather, it would still be a humiliation for the rest of his life. People would laugh at him behind his back. Lu Ming, I will make you suffer. I swear, and your family, your friends, they will all die. Luo Tsungqiang's crazy voice came out. What are you shouting for? It was you who killed the people of the De Luo Heaven sect. I just did it on your behalf. Lu Ming scolded. Luo Tsungqiang spat out a mouthful of blood. What did he mean by it was he who killed the people of the De Luo Heaven sect and Lu Ming just did it on his behalf? Don't use him as a weapon if you have the ability. Bang! Lu Ming swung Luo Tsungqiang out and another emperor-to-be was blown away. The emperor-to-be spat out blood. Luo Tsungqiang was also dizzy because of the collision. Don't fight with him. The emperor-to-be of the De Luo Heaven sect shouted and stepped back, not daring to get close to Lu Ming. Other emperor-to-be did the same. When they saw Lu Ming coming, they quickly ran away. Then, the scene became a funny scene. Lu Ming swung Luo Tsungqiang and chased him in the sky. The emperor-to-be of the De Luo Heaven sect was running around in a mess. Many people were speechless. The first young master of the Deluo Heaven sect, the grandson of the great, the genius who had been deprived of the king-level physique, and nearly 100 emperors-to-be of the Deluo Heaven sect, were beaten so badly by Lu Ming. After Luo Tsangqiang was brutally abused, he became Lu Ming's weapon, which really made people speechless. At the same time, everyone was shocked. This also proved how powerful Lu Ming was. Hey, don't run away. There are so many emperor-to-be here, but none of you dare to fight with me. The Deluo Heaven sect is a great emperor-level influence. What a disappointment. Lu Ming carried Luo Tsangqiang upside down and ran wildly in the air, chasing the emperor-to-be of the Deluo Heaven sect. The emperor-to-be of the Deluo Heaven sect turned blue with anger. Put Luo Tsangqiang down if you have the ability. You're carrying Luo Tsangqiang, yet you're still fighting like this? Those quasi-emperors roared in their hearts. Lu Ming, come and fight with me if you have the ability. At this time, Xinghe's voice was heard all over the place. He was also very unhappy. In Yuan Mountain Saint Academy, Luo Tsangqiang had turned to him and was a member of the Celestial Emperor Alliance. Now he was beaten so badly by Lu Ming, which made him lose face. At this moment, Xinghe and Deathblade had already exchanged hundreds of blows. Deathblade was gradually at a disadvantage in the battle. After all, Xinghe had already broken through to the exceptional saint realm and was very close to the emperor-to-be realm. In terms of the mastery of the law, he was stronger than Deathblade. After a long battle, he gradually gained the advantage. Xinghe, your cultivation is 2 levels higher than mine. As an eternal son, you want to fight with someone whose cultivation is lower than yours. Is this your arrogance? Well, isn't everyone in the Hung family like you? Lu Ming sneered. If you don't dare to fight, then just say it. Xinghe and Deathblade exchanged blows again and forced Deathblade to retreat dozens of miles. Xinghe, you don't have to provoke me. Today, I really want to fight with you. After saying that, Lu Ming stopped chasing the people of Deluo Heaven sect. He carried Luo Tsangqiang and walked toward Xinghe. Many people, including Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the rest, as well as Lu Ming's enemies, were shocked. Was Lu Ming really going to fight with Xinghe? Although Lu Ming's combat strength was strong, he was definitely not Xinghe's opponent. Perhaps, he was going to join forces with Deathblade. Many people thought so. Let me go. Luo Tsangqiang roared. Shut up. Lu Ming stepped forward and stepped on Luo Tsangqiang's crotch. Luo Tsangqiang screamed like a eunuch and arched his body. In Lu Ming's palm, runes constantly spread out and covered Luo Tsangqiang's armor. Luo Tsangqiang was sealed and could not resist. He could only be carried by Lu Ming like a weapon. Everyone was stunned. Was Lu Ming going to fight with Xinghe with Luo Tsangqiang as a weapon? Deathblade, leave Xinghe to me. Lu Ming stepped forward and came to Deathblade's side. Leave it to you? Deathblade was puzzled. Why? You don't trust me? Don't worry, I'll beat up Xinghe for you. You go and help Huang Ling, Lu Ming said. Lu Ming is so arrogant that he wants to fight Xinghe alone, and, didn't you hear his tone? He actually ordered Deathblade to help Huang Ling. That's ridiculous. With Deathblade's character, it's good that he didn't draw his sword. Some people whispered. Although many people were still fighting, there were also some people who did not make a move. They stood in the distance and watched the battle. After hearing Lu Ming's words, they all shook their heads. However, the next scene was beyond their expectations. Deathblade nodded and then moved. He turned into a terrifying sword light and attacked the quasi-emperors of the Hung family. The Deathblade was extremely terrifying. With one slash, 3 quasi-emperors of the Hung family were killed. Damn it, let's kill him together. The quasi-emperors of the Hung family were furious. Many of them joined forces and launched a terrifying attack on Deathblade. However, Deathblade was surrounded by the light of death. Within 100 meters around him, it was like a domain of death. The light of death merged with the sword light. With one slash, it broke the opponent's attack and killed a quasi-emperor. Ordinary quasi-emperors were almost defenseless against Deathblade and were killed in one move. Sky Veil of Death. Then, A terrifying grey gas spread out from Deathblade's body. This was the Chi of Death. It shrouded at least half of the area of the Great Derivation Furnace. When the Quasi-Emperors saw this Chi of Death, they retreated. In this way, the pressure on Huang Ling, Long Chen, and Ouyang Wushuang was greatly reduced. They were able to block the opponent's attack. Xingha's face turned ugly. His body was shrouded in the light of eternity. He was like a god that was eternal and immortal. Bang! Then, Xingha took a step forward. A terrifying aura pressed down on Lu Ming like a storm. He did not want to talk nonsense. He wanted to end the battle quickly and kill Lu Ming as soon as possible to take back the Heavenly Emperor's sword. "Let's fight," Lu Ming muttered. His spine was suffused with a crimson glow and a drop of blood appeared. Waves of powerful and terrifying energy surged into Lu Ming's body. Chapter 1977. Lu Ming had unleashed his third bloodline. Lu Ming knew that if he did not unleash his third bloodline, he would not be a match for Heng Xinghe. Heng Xinghe was an eternal son and was not inferior to him in any aspect. He had mastered the eternal law, cultivated the eternal light, and was about to become a quasi-emperor. He was 2 levels higher than Lu Ming. Even his divine skills were more powerful than Lu Ming's and had reached 99% mastery. In terms of spiritual body, Lu Ming might not be as strong as Heng Xinghe, even if he had refined 3 chaotic laws. He was born with an eternal body and was protected by the heavens. Once he became a martial emperor, his spiritual body would evolve into a superior heavenly spiritual body. In fact, all Elysian sons were like that. Lu Xiongxiong's life body, Ouyang Moli's reincarnation body, and Deathblade's death body were all born with it. Once they reached the martial emperor level, they would become superior heavenly spiritual bodies. Moreover, because they were born with it, their spiritual bodies contained a special substance. For example, the life body contained the Chi of life. The chaotic body contained the Chi of chaos. Therefore, their spiritual bodies were stronger than superior heavenly spiritual bodies. Strictly speaking, Lu Ming could not be considered an Elysian son. This was because everything he had was acquired through cultivation, and not something he was born with. His soul and the laws of chaos were both cultivated. He was not born with the chaotic body. However, others did not know this. When they saw that Lu Ming had mastered the chaotic laws, they called Lu Ming the son of chaos. Now, Lu Ming's spiritual body had refined 3 chaotic Qi. Compared to Heng Xinghe, he might have a slight advantage. Lu Ming's other advantage was that he had 2 sacred hearts and 2 laws. However, this was not enough to make up for the gap between him and Heng Xinghe. Therefore, he needed the third bloodline to make up for it. The third bloodline seemed to have endless energy. Even though Lu Ming had reached his current level, he still felt that the energy in it was endless. He could only borrow a drop in the ocean. Endless killing intent emanated from Lu Ming's body. His eyes began to turn blood red. His long black hair also turned blood red. His aura was constantly increasing, and he could faintly contend with the stellar river. Xinghe's eyes narrowed slightly as he said coldly, "Borrowing external forces is ultimately too weak to withstand a single blow. Kill." His silhouette instantly rushed towards Lu Ming, as though he had teleported. At the same time, a battle sword appeared in his hand. Without a doubt, it was an emperor-ranked weapon. The sword light slashed through the air, slashing towards Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming was even more straightforward. He lifted Luo Tsangqiong and smashed him towards the stellar river. Luo Tsangqiong roared in his armor, feeling extremely aggrieved. He had become Lu Ming's weapon. Xinghe's expression also changed. With a flick of his wrist, the sword light changed direction and slashed towards Lu Ming from another direction. However, Lu Ming flung Luo Tsangqiong away and crashed into the sword light of Stellar River. Stellar River's sword light changed again, but Lu Ming could always keep up with the sword light by wielding Luo Tsangqiong. "Lu Ming, let go of Luo Tsangqiong and fight with me if you dare." Anger appeared on Xinghe's face, which had been calm all along. There was a ball of fire in his chest. Lu Ming wielded Luo Tsangqiong to fight with him. Luo Tsangqiong's identity was extraordinary. He was the grandson of a great emperor. In terms of status, he was higher than Lu Ming. Although the Hung clan also had a great emperor, that great emperor was his ancestor. He was afraid that if he seriously injured or killed Luo Tsungqiong, he would offend the great emperor of the Deluo Heaven sect. Nonsense, you have an emperor-ranked battle sword. I don't have an emperor-ranked weapon. This is my emperor-ranked weapon, Lu Ming said as he flung Luo Tsungqiong away. Luo Tsungqiong was dizzy from the flinging. When he heard Lu Ming's words, he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. When did he become Lu Ming's emperor-ranked weapon? Then I won't use my emperor-ranked weapon. I'll fight with you. Stellar River. Are you stupid not to use your emperor-ranked weapon when you have one? Anyway, I'm going to use it, Lu Ming said disdainfully. He swung Luo Tsungqiong and smashed it toward Xinghe with astonishing power. The armor on Luo Tsungqiong's body was extraordinary. It was sturdy and indestructible. Lu Ming thought that even the Void Emperor wouldn't be able to break it so easily. It was the most suitable weapon. The two exchanged a few moves. For a moment, Xinghe was at a disadvantage and couldn't use his full strength. Many people looked at each other in dismay. Lu Ming is really shameless. Some people were indignant. Hihi, Xinghe's cultivation is 2 levels higher. How can Lu Ming not use some tricks? Why don't you say that Xinghe is shameless? Some people felt that Lu Ming's behavior was normal. Look, the platform is reacting. At this moment, someone exclaimed and pointed at the stone platform. By now, many people had died in the battle. The blood of those who died in the battle was attracted by a mysterious force and flew toward the stone platform and seeped into the ancient altar. The ancient altar was flickering. Then, a giant blood-red bridge extended from the stone platform to the other side of the abyss. However, the giant blood-red bridge only extended for a short distance before it stopped. Sacrificing blood to the bridge. It's really sacrificing blood to the bridge, but there's not enough blood. Someone shouted. Kill. At the scene, the battle cries shook the sky. Some of the stronger forces began to kill some of the weaker forces. More people joined the battle. It was chaos. People were constantly killed and fell here forever. Xinghe's eyes were also filled with a bright light. He shouted coldly, Lu Ming, sacrifice your blood to the bridge. After saying that, Xinghe's sword light skyrocketed. He seemed to no longer be afraid of Luo Tsungqiong. His battle sword broke through the air with an incomparably sharp chi and slashed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming lifted Luo Tsungqiong and smashed it. Clang. Xinghe's battle sword accurately slashed Luo Tsungqiong's body, creating a loud sound and sparks. Luo Tsungqiong's body shook violently. He was stunned by the powerful force. Lu Ming's body swayed and he couldn't help but take 2 steps back. Swoosh. Swoosh. Xinghe's sword light was like a flying immortal, constantly slashing toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming circulated all the strength in his body and stepped forward. Luo Tsungqiong in his hand was like a black hammer that constantly smashed out. Clang. Clang. The two of them clashed for more than 10 moves in a row. The void was rumbling and vibrating constantly. The terrifying energy turned into shockwaves that spread outwards in a circle. Some people who were closer to them were hit by the shockwaves. They couldn't help but be pushed back, their faces pale. Many people were shocked. This kind of combat strength was terrifying. Ordinary quasi-emperors couldn't withstand the shockwaves. How shocking was that? What shocked them even more was that Lu Ming could actually fight against Xinghe. This made it difficult for many people to calm down. The He family, Deluo Heaven sect, and the only powerful forces such as the Divine Temple. The Wan family of the Ancient Moon Holy Land, the Golden Crow clan, and the Sirius Pagoda were also shocked. Chapter 1978. Heng Xinghe was known as the #1 supreme talent among the younger generation in Yuan Mountain. Didn't that mean that the current Lu Ming was already standing at the peak of the younger generation in Yuan Mountain and it was hard to find a match for him? The experts from the Golden Crow clan, Wan clan, and other forces looked gloomy. They had to report this matter to their superiors when they got out so that they could come up with a countermeasure. If this continued, Lu Ming would continue to grow and it would be a disaster for them. Lu Ming and Heng Xinghe exchanged more than 10 moves, but it was hard to determine the winner. Heng Xinghe seemed to be afraid of breaking Luo Zongqiong's armor. Clang! After another explosion, the seal runes that had been covering Luo Zongqiong's armor collapsed. Boom! Luo Zongqiong went berserk and activated the law of deprivation at full force, shrouding Lu Ming in an attempt to devour Lu Ming. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. He finally knew why Heng Xinghe had exchanged blows with him previously. His purpose was to break the seal on Luo Zongqiong's body and let Luo Zongqiong regain his freedom. Eternal sword tide. How could Heng Xinghe miss this opportunity? In an instant, he stabbed out more than 1,000 times with his sword. Endless sword lights were like a tide of swords, stabbing towards Lu Ming. All of them were aimed at Lu Ming's vital points. At this moment, Lu Ming wanted to reseal Luo Zongqiong and use him as a weapon, but it was no longer possible. It would even put him in danger. Whoosh! Lu Ming let go of Luo Zongqiong and retreated rapidly. He kept punching out with his fists, and the shadows of the prison-suppressing steelies appeared and blocked the sword lights that were coming towards him. As soon as Luo Zongqiong was free, his figure flickered wildly and pulled a long distance away from Lu Ming. Lu Ming, I'll remember this. Just you wait. Luo Zongqiong's angry voice was heard. I'll remember this too. I believe everyone will remember this too. Lu Ming smiled faintly. Luo Zongqiong was so angry that he almost vomited blood. His body trembled with anger. That's right. Today's matter had already been remembered by everyone, and it would soon spread throughout the entire Yuan Mountain. In the future, when others saw Luo Zongqiong, they would think of today's scene. Luo Zongqiong was just a joke. He was so angry that he wanted nothing more than to chop Lu Ming into pieces. He wanted nothing more than to kill everyone who had witnessed what had happened today. Trash, get lost. Lu Ming could not be bothered with Luo Zongqiong. He waved his hand disdainfully before turning his gaze to the Stellar River. Luo Zongqiong was so angry that he almost went up to Lu Ming. Lu Ming, now that you don't have Luo Zongqiong, let's see how you're going to stop me. The eternal light on Xinghe's body became more and more brilliant, as if he was an immortal that didn't belong to this world. With one less piece of trash, it's a good fight. Lu Ming said faintly as he channeled his saint power to the extreme. Chaotic light surrounded him, making him look like a god of war. Whoosh! Whoosh! The two of them moved at the same time, charging towards each other. Sword of Eternity. Chaotic Calamity Finger. A ray of sword light collided with a huge finger in the air, and then they were annihilated. Lu Ming and Xinghe's figures also collided. Lu Ming slashed down again, and a phantom of the prison-suppressing steely appeared. It was as big as a mountain, and with an aura that could suppress the heavens, it suppressed Xinghe. Xinghe's sword light slashed violently, and split the phantom of the prison-suppressing steely in one fell swoop. But what faced him were more phantoms of the prison-suppressing steely. Lu Ming waved his hand, and 9 phantoms of the prison-suppressing steely appeared and blasted towards Xinghe. At the same time, countless inscriptions appeared on his left hand and spread towards Xinghe. This was the power of the seal, and he wanted to seal Xinghe. However, when the power of the seal got close to Xinghe, it couldn't break through the eternal light of the Stellar River and was blocked. Then, the eternal light shook, and the countless runes collapsed. I'm an eternal. How can a mere law of the king do anything to me? Xinghe's voice rang out. At the same time, a terrifying sword light burst out and shattered the 9 prison-suppressing steelies. Whoosh! There was another sword light that pierced through the phantoms of the prison-suppressing steelies and attacked Lu Ming. However, when the sword light hit the chaotic light, it was as if it had hit an iron wall. It made ear-piercing and unpleasant sounds, and sparks flew in all directions. Kill! Lu Ming roared, and his blood-red hair fluttered. He borrowed the power of the third bloodline to cross the gap between him and Xinghe, and the two of them began a peak battle. Lu Ming sometimes used the prison-suppressing heavenly skill, sometimes the chaotic finger of calamity, and together with the law of formation, he erupted with astonishing battle strength. An ordinary quasi-emperor could be killed in one move. However, Xinghe was indeed powerful. His sword light pierced the sky, and his body turned into an eternal light. He was no weaker than Lu Ming. In the blink of an eye, the two of them exchanged more than 100 moves, but there was no clear winner. Boom! The two of them exchanged another blow. The eternal light and chaotic light shook, and the two of them floated back at the same time. Lu Ming, this secret technique of yours is indeed very powerful, but the aftereffects should be very severe. I wonder how long you can last. Xingha's eyes flickered with sharpness. He believed that the power of Lu Ming's third bloodline should be a strange and terrifying secret technique that could increase one's battle strength in a short period of time. However, such a secret technique would usually have a huge aftereffect. Why don't you give it a try? Lu Ming smiled faintly. Naturally, he would not explain. The energy in the third bloodline was endless. Even if he kept borrowing it, it would not be exhausted. Lu Ming, even if you use your secret technique, you are still no match for me. Then, I will show you my strongest battle strength, Xinghe said coldly. The eternal light on his body became brighter and brighter, as if it was about to burn. Eternal divine bell. At this moment, Xinghe's aura increased by another notch. His body shone brightly, and finally turned into a large bell that enveloped him. Clang! The large bell buzzed, and a sound wave, visible to the naked eye, rushed toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's face suddenly changed. In the face of this sound wave, he had a very dangerous feeling. Chaotic Calamity Finger. Lu Ming did not hesitate to use the Chaotic Calamity Finger and pointed it out with all his might. However, when the sound wave rushed over, the Chaotic Calamity Finger exploded inch by inch. The terrifying sound wave rushed past and continued to rush toward Lu Ming. What terrifying power! Lu Ming's face turned solemn. He quickly retreated, and at the same time, he punched out with both his fists. Illusions of the suppressing prison monuments appeared and blocked in front of him. Bam! Bam! The illusions of the suppressing prison monuments continued to explode. Lu Ming's body trembled. He felt a terrifying force acting on his body, as if it was going to tear his body apart. Even the chaotic light on his body could not withstand it. Lu Ming retreated for 100 miles before he managed to resist this surge of power. Gosh, is this Xinghe's true battle strength? This is too terrifying. Who below the martial emperor realm can defeat him? Lu Ming is going to lose. He is no match for him. Lu Ming's cultivation is still too low. It is difficult for him to overcome the gap in cultivation. Chapter 1979. Everyone was shocked by Xinghe's combat strength. It turned out that he had not used his full strength earlier. Now that he had unleashed his full strength, he was able to push Lu Ming back 100 miles in one move. At this moment, Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others looked worried. The situation on their side had improved a lot. With the addition of the Deathblade, the pressure on them was greatly reduced. Ordinary boundary emperors would only be killed by the Deathblade. Until now, many boundary emperors had died at the hands of the Deathblade. Blood was absorbed by the platform, and the blood-red bridge became longer and longer. It extended all the way to the front and disappeared into the depths. No one knew if it could reach the other side. Xinghe stepped into the air and moved toward Lu Ming. His body was enveloped by a large bell that seemed to be transparent. One could clearly see Xinghe's figure. Lu Ming, you are no match for me. In front of eternity, everything is in vain. Kill. Xinghe said indifferently, as if he had turned into a high and mighty deity looking down on the common people. Clang. The eternal divine bell vibrated for the second time, and a terrifying sound wave whizzed out. The space rippled like water, and like thousands of soldiers and horses, it crushed toward Lu Ming. Retreat. Some people behind Lu Ming were shocked. They retreated one after another, afraid that they would be swept in. With their combat strength, if they were swept in, they would definitely be smashed to pieces. Lu Ming's face was solemn. He raised his cultivation to the maximum, and did his best to resist. The Tai Chi disc flew out and suppressed forward. At the same time, the primal chaos finger and hell-suppressing heaven skill were unleashed. But it was useless. The Tai Chi disc was sent flying, and it dimmed. The primal chaos finger and hell suppressing heaven skill could not block it and were shattered. It was not that the primal chaos finger or hell suppressing heaven skill were inferior to the other party. It was just that Lu Ming's cultivation was not enough, and there was a gap between them. It was difficult for him to unleash such a strong power. Whoosh! Lu Ming's figure retreated again. This time, blood flowed from the corner of his mouth. Lu Ming, you are not bad to be able to block 2 of my attacks. But today, your fate is sealed. Kill, silence all things. Clang. The eternal god bell vibrated for the 3rd time. This time, it was even more terrifying. The terrifying sound waves actually transformed into an army. They were like the celestial soldiers in the legends, holding divine weapons and riding strange beasts. Their killing intent soared to the heavens as they crushed toward Lu Ming. The entire void was trembling. The attack this time was undoubtedly even more terrifying. Lu Ming was knocked back, spitting out a mouthful of blood. His face was somewhat pale. Among my peers, you are the first one to withstand 3 strikes from my eternal godly bell. Hand over the celestial emperor's sword, and I'll leave your corpse intact. Xing Xinhe was incomparably arrogant as his snow-white robe fluttered in the wind. He quickly approached Lu Ming, as if victory was certain. Hihi, its power is indeed not bad, but it's still not enough. Lu Ming chuckled. At this moment, his eyes were cold. It seemed like he had no choice but to give it a try. Now, he could only borrow more power from his 3rd bloodline. The 3rd bloodline was too strange. Lu Ming had always avoided borrowing the power of the 3rd bloodline, but now, he had no choice but to do so. Come, power. A ferocious look flashed across Lu Ming's eyes. Boom. A surge of crimson energy roared wildly and rushed into Lu Ming's body. Roar. Lu Ming roared. His voice was like that of a wild beast. Terrifying murderous intent erupted and shrouded the surroundings. Xing Xinhe's face changed abruptly when he was hit by the killing intent. The killing intent gave him the feeling that he was facing an incomparably powerful and crazy existence. It was as if he was going to slaughter all living things and destroy everything. Pust pust pust. At this moment, Lu Ming's body swelled and bone spikes protruded from his body. It made Lu Ming look a little ferocious, like a demon that had walked out from purgatory. Even Huang Ling, Long Chen, Ouyang Wushuang, and the rest were a little shocked. They had never seen Lu Ming in such a state. Xing Xinhe, watch me break your broken bell. Lu Ming roared. His eyes were full of ferocious and endless killing intent. However, Lu Ming's current cultivation was not what it used to be. Although his killing intent was endless, he had not lost his mind. Swoosh. Lu Ming's figure flashed like a phantom. The next moment, he appeared in front of the Stellar River. Almost no one saw how Lu Ming moved. It was too fast. Swoosh. Lu Ming's claws clawed out. At this moment, Lu Ming's nails had become much longer. They were like sharp blades as he clawed at Xing Xinhe. Xing Xinhe's face changed and he quickly attacked. Clang. The eternal divine bell vibrated and a more terrifying sound wave than before rushed out. The sound wave collided with Lu Ming's claws and made a harsh sound. In the end, Lu Ming roared and tore with his hands. The sound wave was broken by Lu Ming. In the next moment, Lu Ming approached Xing Xinhe and threw out a punch. Dong. This punch landed on the eternal divine bell and a terrifying force burst out. The eternal divine bell vibrated violently. Xing Xinhe's face changed and his body was sent flying like a cannonball. Swoosh. Lu Ming took a step in the void and the void vibrated. Lu Ming's figure dashed out and caught up with Heng Xinghe. Both his fists bombarded him like a storm. Shake. Xing Xinhe roared and the eternal divine bell vibrated again. A terrifying sound wave rushed out. This time, the sound wave was even more terrifying. Ordinary Emperor-to-be would die no matter how many of them came. Boom. 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 Lu Ming's fists were covered with a layer of blood-red energy. It was indestructible and there was nothing it could not break. It collided with the sound wave and finally, the sound wave was destroyed. Then, he threw out punch after punch on the eternal divine bell. Catcher. The eternal divine bell was Xingxinha's divine skill formed by the eternal law. At this moment, cracks appeared on it. Moreover, Lu Ming's fist force continued to bombard the eternal divine bell. More and more cracks appeared on the eternal divine bell. In the end, it exploded with a bang. Xingxinha's face turned pale. He vomited blood and retreated. However, Lu Ming's speed was shocking. He caught up with Xingxinha in an instant and continued to attack violently. Xingxinha took out his emperor-level battle sword again and exerted all his strength to slash out sword light. However, he could not stop Lu Ming at all. At this moment, Lu Ming had borrowed the power of the third bloodline and was almost at his limit. Lu Ming could barely retain a trace of consciousness. If he continued to borrow the power of the third bloodline, Lu Ming would be drowned by endless murderous intent and become a killing puppet. It could be seen that Lu Ming's current power was very violent. In just a few moves, Xingxinha was sent flying and vomited blood. In the distance, Luo Tsangqiang was almost scared to death. What kind of monster was Lu Ming? He could even defeat Xingxinha. He was simply invincible. No, when we get out, I must ask grandfather to send experts to kill him. He must be killed. Chapter 1980. Luo Tsangqiang was shocked, not to mention the others, who were even more horrified. Heng Xinghe was defeated. He was not defeated by an elder, nor was he defeated by a group of people. He was defeated by another young man in a head-on confrontation. Heng Xinghe, the #1 genius of Yuan Mountain, was an invincible legend. Today, his legend was shattered. Of course, it was accompanied by the birth of another legend. If what happened today were to spread out, the entire Yuan Mountain would be shaken. In particular, the people of the Heng family seemed to have lost their faith and were terrified. Heng Xinghe was the representative of the Heng family and the pride of the Heng family. Since Heng Xinghe started cultivating, he had been undefeated among his peers. But today, he was defeated. Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the quasi-emperors on their side were ecstatic. Lu Ming defeated Heng Xinghe, and the situation could be completely reversed. Tempage, he just borrowed some kind of secret technique. Who knows if Lu Ming will become a cripple or his strength will be greatly damaged after this secret technique. What's the use of a momentary victory? Luo Tsangqiang said very unhappily, and his voice spread throughout the place. Of course, he was getting further and further away from Lu Ming, and was ready to escape at any time. Luo Tsangqiang's words made many people's eyes flash. Indeed, Lu Ming's state was obviously due to the use of some kind of terrifying secret technique. Such a secret technique actually increased Lu Ming's strength by so much, and the after-effects were absolutely shocking. It might be exaggerated to say that he would directly become a cripple, but if his origin was damaged, it would affect his future cultivation. In that case, Lu Ming would no longer be a match for Heng Xinghe. Some people who had a grudge against Lu Ming prayed in their hearts, hoping that this would be the case. At this moment, Lu Ming was too lazy to pay attention to the voices of the outside world. He continued to rush towards Heng Xinghe. At this moment, Lu Ming's killing intent was surging. He didn't care if Heng Xinghe was an eternal son or not, he would kill him first. Heng Xinghe's face was ugly, but he didn't dare to confront Lu Ming at all. He turned into a rainbow light and rushed towards the giant blood-red bridge. Whoosh! Lu Ming followed closely behind, also rushing towards the giant blood-red bridge. Could it be that the giant bridge has already reached the other side of the abyss? Heng Xinghe must know something. Now that he is rushing towards the bridge, he must have reached the other side and entered the 9th world. Let's go too. Chard. Others also rushed toward the giant bridge, including the quasi-emperors of the Heng family, the Deluo Heaven sect, and the Golden Crow clan. The originally intense chaotic battle also stopped at this moment. The black mass of people all surged onto the giant bridge and rushed forward. We're going too. Ouyang Wushuang, Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the rest led a group of experts and rushed toward the giant bridge. After they entered the bridge, the great development pill furnace shrunk rapidly and flew towards Lu Ming. It flew into the space between Lu Ming's eyebrows and disappeared. The bridge was extremely long and wide, and it led straight into the depths of the mountain. The stellar river was at the forefront at an astonishing speed, but Lu Ming was still closing the distance between them. Soon after, they saw that the bridge was passing through a thick fog. Many people were shocked. Could it be that behind the fog was the ninth world? The ninth world could not be directly entered from the outside. It was said to be the world where the immortals lived. What was in it? Heng Xinghe was the first to rush into the fog, but Lu Ming followed closely behind. After Lu Ming rushed into the fog, he found that he had come to a void. Yes, a void. There was no land here, just like the starry sky of the universe. He was suspended in the void. Heng Xinghe was not far away, but at this time, he seemed to be stunned and looked ahead in a daze. Lu Ming could not help but look over as well. At one glance, his heart trembled violently and he was stunned. In the void in front of him, there was a figure sitting there with his legs crossed. But the figure was too big and too majestic. This person was taller than any mountain. Just sitting there, he was like a planet in the vast universe. In front of him, people were as small as dust. But most importantly, this was a stone man. It was like an incomparably huge stone statue, but it was vivid and lifelike. This was a young man who looked to be in his 30s. He closed his eyes and sat cross-legged in the void, but he gave off a peerless and unparalleled feeling. What shocked Lu Ming the most was that he had seen the appearance of this stone man before. Back then, two great emperors fought at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. In the end, the great emperor fell and the Heavenly Emperor Mountain changed. At that time, a figure condensed in the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. He was in his 30s and looked to be the figure of the Heavenly Emperor. The stone man in front of him looked exactly the same as the figure that appeared at the Heavenly Emperor Mountain. Could this be the statue of the Heavenly Emperor? Thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. At this moment, people were constantly passing through the fog and appearing in this void. But when they saw the huge stone man, they were stunned and shocked. Heavenly Emperor, this is the Heavenly Emperor. A statue of the Heavenly Emperor? No, it's the body, the Heavenly Emperor's body. In the end, a great emperor of the Heng family could not hold back the shock in his heart and roared out. Everyone's heart was violently shaken and surged with stormy waves. The Heavenly Emperor's body? This was the Heavenly Emperor's body. Legend had it that the Heavenly Emperor had fallen in the distant past. Could this really be the body left behind after the Heavenly Emperor had fallen? It was highly possible. There were many ancient ruins in the world of the lotus. Some places seemed to have suppressed terrifying creatures. If it was not the Heavenly Emperor, who could have done it? In the distant past, for some unknown reason, the Heavenly Emperor had suppressed some powerful creatures here and died. His body was left here, sitting in the ninth world. No wonder one could not enter the ninth world directly. No wonder there were legends in other worlds that the ninth world was inhabited by immortals. Immortals were the Heavenly Emperor, and Lu Ming thought of more. He thought of that Heavenly Emperor sword, which was also a stone sword. The sword was made of stone, and now this huge body was also made of stone. What was the connection between them? Could it really be the Heavenly Emperor's body? Could it be that the Heavenly Emperor was not a human, but a strange life form? At this moment, the eyes of countless people burst out with blazing flames. That was the fire of greed. If this huge stone man was really the Heavenly Emperor's body, then its value was unimaginable. That was the Heavenly Emperor. Now, the Heavenly Emperor was simply a legend, and the great emperors were the peak powerhouses. A great emperor could almost dominate a region, be invincible, and control the great Tao. As for the Heavenly Emperor, it was even more unimaginable. Legend had it that the Heavenly Emperor was almost the same as the Heavenly Tao. Moreover, the Great Tribulation did not affect the Heavenly Emperor and he was truly immortal. When one became a Heavenly Emperor, there would be no Great Tribulation of heaven and earth, and they would truly live as long as heaven and earth. Such a person was unimaginably strong. The value of the body left behind by such a person could be imagined. Regardless of whether it was true or not, it could not be missed. Whoosh. Chapter 1981. The Heavenly Emperor's physical body was too shocking and tempting. Regardless of whether it was real or not, they had to give it a try. Even a piece of the Heavenly Emperor's body would be priceless. If they brought it out, even martial emperors would be envious. One figure after another charged forward. The Heavenly Emperor's physical body is mine. Whoever touches it will die. Xinghe shouted as he turned into a beam of sword light and slashed out. Pu. Pu. As the sword light slashed down, blood splattered everywhere. Heads flew out one after another. In an instant, more than 10 quasi-emperors were killed by Xinghe. The difference between an ordinary quasi-emperor and a stellar river was too great. They would be killed in an instant, unable to resist at all. The river of laws was easily sliced apart. The other quasi-emperors were shocked and flew far away. Xinghe was too domineering. Xinghe, the battle between us is not over yet. Let's continue. Lu Ming's blood-red hair fluttered as killing intent surged. His eyes were blood-red as he stepped towards Xinghe. Aside from those who were close to Lu Ming, no one dared to step within a certain range of him. When Xinghe saw Lu Ming coming over, his expression turned unsightly. He turned into a beam of light and charged towards the huge stone man. Form a formation and block him with the Emperor weapon. Xinghe's voice rang out. The quasi-emperors of the Hung clan moved. Their figures flickered as they formed a mysterious formation. Some of them had Emperor weapons, so they took them out. Clearly, quasi-emperors could not bring out the full power of Emperor weapons. However, when many of them gathered together and formed a formation, the power was very terrifying. Whoosh! Whoosh! Beams of sword chi tore through the air towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming punched out a few times, causing the void to tremble and shattering those sword chi. However, following that, more sword chi slashed towards him. Most of the people of the Hung clan cultivated the eternal spring law, which emphasized on continuous attacks. Boundless sword chi continuously blasted towards Lu Ming, blocking Lu Ming's path. No matter how strong Lu Ming was, he would not be able to charge out in a short time. Meanwhile, Xinghe was rapidly approaching the stone man. He was very fast, and the others were lagging behind. Whoosh! A beam of death light slashed out violently, blocking a large amount of sword chi. Lu Ming, you go after the stellar river. I'll block them for you here. Death Blade stepped through the air, and the curtain of death enveloped the area, blocking a large area of sword light. Lu Ming glanced at Death Blade with his blood-red eyes. Without saying anything, he shot up into the sky and turned into a beam of blood-red light as he chased after Death Blade. They saw that the stone golem didn't seem to be far from them, but as they flew, they knew that they were very far from it. That was because the stone golem was simply too big. In the void, streaks of rainbow light flew towards the giant stone man like shooting stars. Xinghe was far in the lead, but Lu Ming was in hot pursuit, slowly closing in. This flight lasted for half an hour. With their speed, they flew for half an hour. It was easy to imagine how far the distance was. At this moment, they finally approached the giant stone man. By then, Lu Ming and Stellar River had already left the rest far behind. They were far ahead of the rest. Lu Ming had already closed in on Stellar River. Damn it, what secret technique is this guy using? It hasn't disappeared yet. Xinghe roared in his heart. Lu Ming's body was covered in blood-red light, and his aura was still strong. Ordinary secret techniques wouldn't be able to sustain such a powerful battle prowess for so long. But now, Lu Ming seemed to be fine. He unleashed all his strength and rushed towards the giant stone man. He had a feeling that the blood in his body was boiling, as if he was close to the giant stone man. It was as if the stone man was related to him by blood. It must be the ancestor of the Heng family, it must be. Xinghe roared in his heart. The closer he got to the giant stone man, the stronger his feeling became. He felt that as long as he flew to the stone man, he would be able to get the stone man. At this moment, Lu Ming's eyes revealed a look of surprise. Because in his sea of consciousness, the stone sword, which was the sword of the Heavenly Emperor, was constantly vibrating and buzzing. It seemed to be resonating with the stone man. The stone sword, maybe it really is the sword of the Heavenly Emperor, the sword of this stone man. A thought flashed in Lu Ming's mind, But he didn't slow down and gradually approached Xinghe. Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch, and a terrifying fist light blasted towards Xinghe. Eternal Divine Bell! Xinghe shouted and unleashed all his strength, and another Eternal Divine Bell enveloped him. The Eternal Divine Bell vibrated, and a terrifying sound wave rushed towards Lu Ming, but it was broken by Lu Ming's punch. Clang! Clang! Xinghe flew towards the stone man while vibrating the Eternal Divine Bell. The terrifying sound wave turned into various fierce attacks and rushed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming's attack was simple. He used the hell-suppressing heaven skill, and punched out to break the sound wave, and slowly approached Xinghe. The two fought while flying, and in the blink of an eye, they had exchanged more than 10 blows. Boom! Boom! A few fist lights broke through Xinghe's sound wave and bombarded Xinghe's Eternal Divine Bell, causing it to vibrate and cracks to appear on it. Xinghe's face turned ugly, and he gritted his teeth and rushed towards the stone man. In the past, no one in the same generation could break his Eternal Divine Bell, but today, it was broken by Lu Ming. When I become a boundary emperor, I will definitely kill you. Xinghe roared in his heart, and he was accidentally punched again. His body trembled, and he almost vomited blood. At this moment, they were very close to the stone man. After getting closer, they realized that the stone man was really too big and majestic. They were probably only the size of a strand of the stone man's hair. Right at this moment, a shocking scene appeared. The stone golem suddenly opened its eyes. This scene made the hearts of Lu Ming, Xinghe, and the others jump. The stone man opened his eyes. Was the Heavenly Emperor not dead? If that was true, it would be a big deal. The stone man opened his eyes, only to see that his two eyeballs were like two abysses, pitch black. The next moment, 2 rays of light shot out of the stone man's eyes, condensing into a figure in front of Lu Ming and Xinghe. Wearing a long robe, unparalleled in style, around 30 years old, with a kind of domineering spirit. Wasn't it the image of the Heavenly Emperor? At this moment, everyone seemed to have forgotten to breathe, dumbfounded. The Heavenly Emperor was really not dead. Hung family descendant pays respect to the Heavenly Emperor Patriarch. Xinghe suppressed the shock on his face and bowed. Junior Lu Ming pays respect to the Heavenly Emperor. Lu Ming also cupped his fists and bowed. No matter what, the Heavenly Emperor was a senior expert, so it was normal to bow. Greetings to the Heavenly Emperor. The others also bowed to the Heavenly Emperor from afar. The Heavenly Emperor swept his gaze across everyone and said, "No need to be so polite, I've already fallen. What's left now is merely a wisp of imprint, like a candle in the wind, that can be extinguished at any time." These words made people's hearts tremble greatly. Chapter 1982. The Heavenly Emperor had fallen and only left behind an imprint, then how did he die? This was the Heavenly Emperor, a peerless and invincible existence. Who could kill him? Could it be a Heavenly Emperor realm figure? Everyone's heart was full of doubts. You guys are here for my physical body, right? At this moment, the Heavenly Emperor spoke again. Everyone's face suddenly turned pale. Now that the Heavenly Emperor imprint had appeared, how would they dare to speak the truth? Even if the Heavenly Emperor only had a wisp of imprint left, killing them was probably just a thought away. Lu Ming didn't make a sound, and neither did Xinghe. The gaze of the Heavenly Emperor imprint finally fell on Lu Ming and Xinghe, saying, "Both of you are somewhat related to me. If you want to force your way forward, I will not stop you." Xinghe's eyes lit up, and he glanced at Lu Ming indifferently. The Heavenly Emperor imprint actually said that Lu Ming was somewhat related to the Heavenly Emperor imprint, which made him think of the Heavenly Emperor's sword. "I am the descendant of the Heavenly Emperor. This Heavenly Emperor's physical body is mine," Xinghe roared in his heart. "However, I have to remind you." At this moment, the Heavenly Emperor imprint continued to speak, but his expression became very serious, saying, "Since you can come here, I will not stop you. As long as you go forward, you can obtain the Heavenly Emperor's physical body. However, this will cause a huge change. The land of Yuan Mountain will be plunged into misery and suffering, blood will flow like a river. Countless people will fall, including your family and friend. A thought will affect the life and death of countless people. You have to think carefully. Lu Ming's face changed. Going forward will cause a huge change. People will be plunged into misery and suffering, blood will flow like a river, and even his family and friends will be affected. How could this be? Not only him, but the others' faces also changed drastically. The Heavenly Emperor imprint wouldn't speak without thinking. Various thoughts flashed through everyone's mind. I will give you 10 breaths of time to consider. If you don't go forward, then retreat, the Heavenly Emperor imprint said. Lu Ming didn't think too much, shook his head slightly, and stepped back. He had cultivated all his life, and although he had the idea of stepping onto the peak of martial arts, more than that, he wanted to have powerful strength to determine his own fate, and protect his family and friends. If his family and friends were in danger because of the Celestial Emperor's body, Lu Ming would rather not have it. This was not his path of martial arts. Bang! Lu Ming retreated, but Heng Xinghe stepped forward. Have you thought it through? The Heavenly Emperor's imprint asked. What does the life and death of others have to do with me? As long as I reach the peak and become eternal, everything will be worth it. Xing Xinhe's indifferent voice sounded. In his heart, there was only himself. The lives of others, even those of his family, were worth it as long as they could fulfill his wish. Selfish people will never amount to anything, Huang Ling said hatefully from the crowd. But this kind of person is also very terrifying, Luo Tianyi said. This kind of person only cared about himself and did not consider anything else. He would do anything by fair means or foul. It was indeed terrifying. Bang! Bang! Xing Xinhe continued to step forward, his body moving faster and faster. He seemed to be attracted by a mysterious force as he flew towards the stone man with extreme speed. The next moment, Xinghe's body actually entered the stone man's body and disappeared. Sigh. The Celestial Emperor's mark sighed, as if a little disappointed. Then, his body collapsed and disappeared. Buzz. At that moment, a terrifying aura rippled from the incomparably huge stone man's body. Wisps of faint light spread out from the stone man's body. Crack. The next moment, the stone man seemed to move, and there was a cracking sound. What's going on? The Celestial Emperor's body moved. Am I seeing things? It did move. His arm is moving. Oh my God, how can the Celestial Emperor's body move? Could it be that Heng Xinghe has integrated into the Celestial Emperor's body and is controlling it? Someone shouted in shock. Lu Ming's expression changed abruptly. He retreated rapidly and hollered, "Retreat, retreat quickly." Boom. At that moment, a terrifying aura erupted from the Celestial Emperor's body. This aura was as vast as the sky and unfathomable. It was like the heavenly Tao that could not be resisted. This was the pressure of the Celestial Emperor. The eyes of the Celestial Emperor's body looked in Lu Ming's direction, filled with a cold light. Lu Ming, today is the day you die. A voice came from the Celestial Emperor's body, filled with icy killing intent. It was Heng Xinghe's voice. Lu Ming's expression was very gloomy. He had not expected that going forward would actually integrate into the Celestial Emperor's body and control it. He had thought that he had only obtained it. If he had known earlier, he would have stopped Heng Xinghe even if he did not want the Celestial Emperor's body. Now, he could only retreat. Lu Ming retreated hurriedly. Huang Ling, Long Chen, Ouyang Wushuang, and the others also retreated frantically. Lu Ming, you can't escape. Heng Xinghe's voice sounded again. Boom. The Celestial Emperor's body suddenly stood up. An unimaginably terrifying aura erupted and enveloped the entire ninth world. Everyone was unable to move under this power, including Lu Ming. Roar. Lu Ming seemed to hear a terrifying roar erupting from his third bloodline. It seemed to be very unhappy, but it seemed to be suppressed by a powerful force. Only Lu Ming could hear this roar. Lu Ming, you're still far from being able to fight me. Heng Xinghe's voice sounded again. The Celestial Emperor's body stood in the air, as tall as the sky. A terrifying aura constantly pervaded toward Lu Ming. Then, the Celestial Emperor's body stretched out a large hand and grabbed toward Lu Ming. The large hand covered the sky and was boundlessly powerful. There was no way to escape or resist it. Lu Ming, Huang Ling, Long Chen, and the others were shocked, their expressions ugly. However, at that moment, Lu Ming looked surprised. This was because the Celestial Emperor's sword in his spiritual sea was vibrating frantically and emitting a mysterious light. Buzz. The next moment, the Celestial Emperor's sword rushed out of the spiritual sea and suspended above Lu Ming's head, rapidly enlarging. Soon, an incomparably huge sword appeared. The aura it emitted was equally earth-shattering and appalling. That's the Celestial Emperor's sword. Many people shouted in shock. The Celestial Emperor's sword had appeared. Was it going to duel with the Celestial Emperor's body? Slash. With a thought, Lu Ming slashed the Celestial Emperor's sword violently, slashing toward the Celestial Emperor's palm. Boom. A terrifying roar erupted, and the world shook. Many people's expressions changed drastically. Their bodies shook violently, and they staggered back, blood flowing from the corners of their mouths. After the collision, the Celestial Emperor's sword flew back and suspended above Lu Ming's head. The huge Celestial Emperor's body also took a few steps back. The Celestial Emperor's sword is mine. I am the descendant of the Celestial Emperor, Lu Ming. What right do you have to wield the Celestial Emperor's sword? Give it to me. You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories,